I hope everyone enjoyed their lunch. They say a picture is worth 1,000 words. Please direct your attention to the screens as we introduce our first honoree.
So I first met Vanessa from the foot of her bed in hospital when she was 13 years old and a beautiful young girl facing a very difficult diagnosis. As you know, she had cancer as a child, and I was her oncologist and shepherded her through the very difficult journey that she had to traverse at that time.
I first came to know Vanessa through a poem that she wrote and gave to her oncologist, Dr. Mark Greenberg. And it was a remarkable poem that addressed her experience. I recall its impact rather than its content.
Vanessa deserves to be honored because as she transited the cancer journey, she had a dream that she would pay back in some way the society that supported her, the world that surrounded her, that there was some purpose in this experience.
Vanessa's story is really a remarkable example of how the right kind of support, from family, from multidisciplinary healthcare providers, from siblings, from her community and so on, mixed with the right kind of courage and staying power and the willingness to move forward with her experience grasped firmly in hand, can lead to quality of the life years that have been won, and there are many of them in childhood cancer, but quality of those years that are won back as a result of treatment.
I think what's distinguished Vanessa is that she has moved in a demographic of young and reasonably affluent people and has moved them into a social awareness, a consciousness of what we all have as obligations as members of society. And she's done that with charm, with grace, with wit. And in many ways, that's pretty inspirational.
I would now like to call on Vanessa Melman-Jacobson, Managing Director of Development and Strategy at the Pediatric Oncology Group of Ontario, better known as POGO.
Good afternoon, everybody, and Mark and Corin, thank you so much for that. It is really an honor to be here today, ladies and gentlemen. I'm thrilled to be here and honored, and I want to thank the ICRF, its staff, its supporters, its sponsors, and all of you for making this event such a tremendous success and for this wonderful recognition. I'd like to congratulate the other honorees today and extend my acknowledgement to all the women in this room and not in this room who have come before us. Outstanding role models, all of you, and I really feel like I'm in amazing company. I confess that it feels like a bit of a funny thing to be recognized for following one's passion, because I certainly didn't set out to be a woman of action per se, but really feel like I followed a path that fate or whatever laid out for me. And I guess that story starts, as Dr. Mark referred to it, when I was 13 years old and discovered a lump in my neck, which turned out to be Hodgkin's disease. And to say the least, my teenage years took a very unusual turn. And it might surprise you to hear that in many ways it was actually a wonderful time in my life, because the outpouring of love and support from our friends and family and the community at large was overwhelmingly heartwarming, and I think taught me about a good in humanity that I will never forget and that I hope I will always continue to recognize. But it was certainly a very difficult time as well, as you can imagine. The diagnosis of cancer in a child has impact on the whole family, and naturally it was beyond devastating and terrifying for my parents, who had to deal with what was going on, and it was also a tremendous ordeal for my siblings, who were forced to face the fear of what might happen to me and forced to have to cope, even though they had less time and attention from my parents, who were, of course, focused on me. And then for me to be a young teenager just entering high school and coping with an altered physical appearance, and really struggled for a long time with issues of self-esteem and figuring out how to relate to my peers and fit in, it really was a very difficult experience. But through all those ups and downs, I was really blessed with a belief that came from, I'm not sure where, that this was an experience I was meant to go through, that I was meant to learn and grow from this experience and somehow give back so that others could learn and benefit from what I went through as well. And somehow at age 13, I understood something that many of us come to conclude in life, and that is that it's not about the experience you're dealt with that counts. What counts is what you do with it. And I think it made it a lot easier that I knew I was in exceptional hands. Dr. Mark, as you saw, was my oncologist, and I certainly felt privileged that this amazing, gifted man, this combination of medical brilliance and enormous compassion, was the person who would lead me through this experience. And I was very fortunate that, as I wrote in my diary at age 13, I had one of the best kinds of cancers to get, because at the time, treatment for Hodgkin's disease was expected to result in a cure. So I really was able to remain positive and stay focused on survival as the ultimate end goal. And so I feel like I followed a variety of stepping stones along a path led by my heart and my intuition that brought me here to this place where I am honored to be in charge of fundraising for POGO. And I don't know if my work with POGO is the pinnacle of what I'm supposed to do. I just know that it is my passion, that I can't imagine doing anything else, and that I feel extremely lucky to do what I do. And for those of you who don't know, POGO is the organization in this province that's responsible for planning the childhood cancer system. And we do this in partnership with the hospitals across Ontario that care for the kids, and we do this in the capacity of official advisor to the Ministry of Health. And so together we work with the professionals of all disciplines and the parents and the survivors to continually advance Ontario's childhood cancer system. And I'll tell you that my colleagues at POGO and on our board and all the volunteers who do the work of POGO really are a bunch of perfectionists, because they're not content to just rest on the success of what we've achieved so far in pediatric oncology. It's not enough for these passionate perfectionists that 80% of the kids survive. We want to ensure that the kids are as well as possible and have an optimal quality of life during treatment. We want to ensure that the families are well supported, and we want to make sure that the survivors are as well and healthy as possible, because these high survival rates, it turns out, come at a very high cost. And about 60% of childhood cancer survivors will face late effects from their disease and treatment, which can include cardiac complications, cognitive impairments, fertility issues, and even second cancers. And so we really want to ensure that these survivors are as healthy and well as possible. I'm really proud to work in a healthcare system that allows an organization like POGO to come into existence and then grow to become a critical partner in healthcare. And I'm so proud to be working for an organization that is improving the lives of so many. And I'm enormously grateful to be in a position where I can contribute and play my role in enabling the important work that POGO does to take place. Because POGO really is a jewel in our healthcare system. And I have to say that my experience as a childhood cancer patient and survivor and advocate has led me to conclude that despite all our complaints about our healthcare system, legitimate as they might sometimes be, we are extremely privileged in this country and in this province to have such exemplary care. Our healthcare system cured me and continues to take care of me and countless others. And our healthcare system is driven by professionals of all disciplines whose commitment to the work they do and the patients that they care for makes me say, thank God for these people. And I think it's important that we don't lose sight of that. I am so proud to be here today as an honoree of the Israel Cancer Research Fund. The research supported by this incredible organization, as you've heard, leverages the remarkable knowledge capital that exists in Israel and takes advantage of a research infrastructure that is well established and cost-effective. And this research is having important impact on improving outcomes for cancer patients globally. When I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's disease back in 1984, 25 years ago, I was told that prior to that time, people didn't always survive Hodgkin's disease. And as I mentioned, at the time that I was diagnosed, cure was the expected outcome. And so I've learned that, as our hero Terry Fox said, cancer can be beaten, but we have to support research to ensure that this becomes true for all malignant diseases. So I'm really pleased that I can lend my support today to ICRF and their work, and I want to thank all of you for being here and for doing the same. Thank you very much.
Vanessa, thank you for sharing your story, for showing us how to take any situation, difficult or otherwise, and turn it into something positive and inspirational. On behalf of ICRF, we're pleased to present this gift to you. Thank you.